Welcome to the Whole Career Podcast, where we explore the world of healthcare careers with Advent Health professionals. We're your hosts, Brandon Strong and Sky Kellogg, and we're excited to take you on a journey of career exploration, development, and success.
At Advent Health, we believe in caring for the whole person, which includes supporting our team members' professional growth and development. In this podcast, we'll be highlighting valuable career information, resources, and advice to help you succeed in both your professional and personal life.
Each episode will feature conversations with Advent Health professionals who will share their personal career journeys, insights, and perspectives on various healthcare careers. From nursing to technology to leadership, we'll cover a wide range of topics to help you stay informed and inspired.
Whether you're just starting out in your healthcare career or you're a seasoned professional looking to take the next step, this podcast is for you. We hope to empower you with the knowledge and tools you need to grow, succeed, and make a positive impact in your field.
At Advent Health, we believe that we are greater as a whole, and we invite you to join us on this journey. So sit back, relax, and let's explore the world of healthcare careers together. Welcome back to the Whole Career Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Strong, and I'm joined by my wonderful co host, Sky Kellogg. We are really excited today because we have an awesome executive here with us. We are have the pleasure of speaking with Mabel Valdivia. She is the executive director of the foundation at Advent Health Waterman. How are you doing, Mabel? How's everything going today?
So great. Thanks. It's amazing to be here. I'm really excited for this opportunity. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I know that you've been with Advent Health for a little over 2 years, but can you please formally introduce yourself and give us a brief overview of your current journey with Advent Health and your current role?
So I've been here for, like you said, a little over 2 years, and I, as the executive director of the foundation, um, am responsible for overseeing all of the activity that the foundation does here on our campus. So really, it is to engage community members in sharing their philanthropic dollars with the foundation so that we can help the hospital do amazing things in our community, whether it is uh, buying equipment so that there is better patient care, to building a new tower here on our campus, or a new medical office building, or providing scholarships for our clinical team. All of that is encompassed in the foundation. And we also do some other fun things like having 5Ks, golf tournaments, and a gala, which all contribute to that philanthropic work that the foundation does.
Wonderful. And Mabel, you shared with us that you've been in this space for just over 25 years. So obviously you have a wealth of knowledge, but how did your journey bring you specifically to Advent Health Waterman?
Yeah, so great question. When I think back on my career, um, and I think about like, how did this all start out? It's because I just wanted to have a career that made things better for people. And so philanthropy has allowed me to live out that calling, if you will. I've been real intentional about the types of roles that I've pursued, what organization I decide to join. So if the mission does not align with my personal beliefs, and that desire to like make things better for people, then regardless of what the position might be, the salary, the benefits, the doors that it could potentially open, it's not for me. And so Advent Health really checked those boxes for me, right? A mission for extending the healing ministry of Christ, check. A position leading a foundation to make things better for my community, check. Working side by side with individuals who are committed to service, check. And so it made me really made this decision really easy for me to leave a career or a job in international philanthropy. I was previously working as a executive director for a patient-based nonprofit that gave microloans to women and other small entrepreneurs in Haiti. And it was easy then to be able to leave that for Advent Health because it aligns so closely to what my personal beliefs were.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. I love how you check.
Mhm.
An
Yeah.
awesome episode by Mabel? Check. That's what we're hoping to have today, and we already are well on our way. So you have talked about and shared with us leading with love and grace and having that be pivotal in your leadership journey. Can you share a specific instance where this approach significantly impacted your team or an organization?
Yeah, so one of my favorite quotes, and it's something that I really try to live by, is that quote by Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And in another life, I had a wonderful colleague who um, was basically a database wizard. So in philanthropy and in nonprofit work, databases are the thing that fundraisers live by because you have to have that data to be able to, get your work done, basically. And so he was a wizard at it. He unfortunately had a um, difficult health situation. And so ultimately, he could not return to the job that he had. And so I moved on from that organization to another one. And when I was at my new organization, I had a need for a database wizard. And so I reached out to my network and he was on there. And so I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, are you still looking for something? Would you be willing to consider coming here?" And he did. He came to work for me on my team, and he worked for me for 4 years. And then I came to Advent Health, and then a friend reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm looking for someone to be a database administrator for my nonprofit. Do you have anyone that you can recommend?" And so I recommended my former colleague. And when he interviewed for that position, he told the my friend, he said, "I will never forget that Mabel gave me an opportunity to reclaim my career um, after having had, a substantial healthcare crisis and not being able to find something um, that was fulfilling for me. And I will never forget that." And so just hearing that from somebody else it has stayed with me. And so I think that when you lead with love for people, um, it comes back in so many different ways. And in this case, it's something that will stay with him and that I hope will also lead him to be someone who leads in the same way because we only see people in the space that we have with them in the 8 to 5, if you will, or if we're at the bedside during those 3 or 4 days that they're in the hospital with us. But people have so much more going on in their lives, and being able to just kind of firstly look at them through that lens of love and grace, I think is just pivotal in being able to, achieve something amazing for them, whether they tell you, you know, immediately or you find out through a different way.
That's a beautiful example, Mabel. A true leader bringing someone alongside with them, never leaving anyone behind, right? I think that's a beautiful example of leading with love and grace. So thank you for sharing that with us. And as the executive director of the foundation at Advent Health Waterman, what are some of the most impactful initiatives that your team has implemented recently?
So we're super busy over here at Waterman. I just kind of want to say that. And so over this year so far, we have provided $3.4 million to the hospital for capital equipment purchases that impact patient care. Expanded the inpatient rehab unit. We've had 12 rooms that were open and always were oversubscribed. So now we have 22 rooms. The foundation was able to support that initiative and get that expansion happening for this community. Have also been able to provide funding for a new robotic cardiac and thoracic operating table and the training for our surgeons that goes along with that, as well as providing new fitness equipment for here at the hospital. So anyone who is a staff member or a team member, a clinician, can use that facility to, get some of that much needed exercise that we need during the day. Beyond that, we also provide scholarships to Lake County high school students. It's really cool. We get to go out to the community schools in the month of May and award these scholarships to graduating seniors as they embark on their education journey. We also have a wonderful partnership with Lake Sumter State College, who has a dedicated education unit here on our campus, and we are providing $200,000 worth of scholarships to our nurses here on our campus to be able to continue their education and um, best grow their knowledge in their field. Um, and finally, I think we have some amazing team members. Our team member giving program is very well supported by both team members and leaders here at Waterman. We have 80% participation by leaders and over 60% by our team members. And that fund has provided $135,000 so far this year of assistance to our team members who experience unprecedented financial need. And it is one of the very initiatives, one of the very most important initiatives that we're very proud of at the foundation.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's everything that you just said is, at least to me, just so mind blowing. The sheer amount of funds
Right.
that are being managed and used,
Right.
but that it's going back into the facility, and I would say most importantly to the team members for their care and their
Right.
well being. That is it's an incredible thing that you all are doing. So, I what amount of money, like, have you had to raise so far just this year to be able to get those things done, if you had an estimate?
Yeah, so Advent Health Waterman Foundation has been established for a very long time, since the early like 1980s. The foundation was established. So Waterman was a hospital, a community hospital here, and so the foundation has been around for a significant amount of time. And in mm, the late 90s, early 2000s, we were the recipient of a wonderful large gift that was planned in the 1950s. And so when the last family member passed away, the gift then came to Waterman. And so that gift allows the foundation to pay all of the staff and all of the fundraising efforts that we do here. And so every single dollar that we raise, which this year will be close to $5 million, gets to go back to the community and the hospital. So we are not a drain at all on this facility. In fact, we are a resource that is they are able to tap into when they need something that is not available to them. And so that is a very innovative difference. It's not the norm for all of the other foundations within the Advent Health system, but it is something very unique to Waterman and something that we're very proud of. And so this year, we expect to raise approximately $5 million. We are already well over that midpoint of the goal. So we're right around the 3 million plus mark. So we expect to raise a 5 million, and I'm hopeful that we might be able to get a little bit ahead of that as well.
Wow, that's incredible.
I, okay, my mind is blown right now. Oh, okay. I have so many questions that I want to ask that are not on this paper that we prepared. Um, okay, so just humor me for a second. So, and especially for our audience, so Advent Health Waterman, that is one of our locations. That is each hospital has a foundation. Is that
No.
correct? No, but specific hospitals have foundations. Okay, and Advent.
Um, so in the Central Florida division, there is one foundation for all of those hospitals.
Okay,
The East Florida division, each of the hospitals has its own foundation.
okay,
Um, but the foundations are structured differently.
okay,
So if you are a nonprofit in the United States of America, you typically have to have a 501(c)(3) license, right? So that makes you a nonprofit based on the IRS code. And so Advent Health Waterman Foundation, um, previously Florida Hospital Waterman Foundation, has that license. And so therefore, we have our own separate license from the hospital and thus not considered a department of the hospital, although our mission and our bylaws are structured in a way that we are established to support the mission of the hospital.
Okay.
Not all foundations are established that way.
Okay. Okay. So Advent Health Waterman unique in that way.
Mhm.
And you mentioned a couple of terms or phrases that I want to go over and make sure I capture. So you mentioned that the way that Advent Health Waterman is structured, it's not a drain. Is that like a word that's commonly used in, the nonprofit or foundation world? Is that because I want to understand what does that mean? Because Advent Health Waterman is structured the way it is with it having that gift from that family. So to me, what I'm hearing is that you guys truly have the funds and what you build is not really meant to support uh paying the people that work for Waterman, so that allows you to just be that much more creative. And so is it, am I right in that drain is a word that's typically used in your field?
So, so, so because you guys told me at the beginning this was kind of casual, drain is probably not the appropriate word.
Okay, 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 no, that's fine, that's fine.
We can edit this
Yeah, yeah,
segment
yeah.
out.
Yeah. So maybe we edit this part. So what I want to be clear about is that foundations, so all nonprofits typically have to fundraise both their um the unrestricted dollars, so dollars that keep the lights on and pay for salaries, right? So a typical nonprofit would be fundraising both for that unrestricted money that covers the salaries of the people who are doing the work, keeping the lights on in the building, making sure the phone gets paid, all of those things, in addition to raising money for the programs that it implements.
Mm, okay.
So Advent Health Waterman Foundation doesn't have to do that because of this gift that was planned in the 1950s, was then materialized, and we have invested it. And so that interest is what the foundation uses to cover the salaries of the foundation staff and to cover the costs of materials that we print, events, some of the events that we put on, in addition to sponsorships, things of that nature. We do not cover any salaries for the hospital or anything like that. We cover the salaries of the foundation staff.
That explanation was beautiful.
Mhm.
Thank you. I'm learning so much about nonprofit, and it makes sense because if you go to Mabel's LinkedIn, she does have in her title, in her bio, nonprofit management expert, and you are exemplifying that today, and I love that. Okay, so and then my last kind of thing that I heard, or phrase that I heard, so you mentioned data, and you mentioned sharing philanthropic dollars. So can you just talk about how those 2 things meet, because you mentioned you needed someone to look at data, and how important is it to have data? What does that look like building that data to make sure that those philanthropic dollars that are being shared are going in the right places or actually even necessary? And I know that's off the cuff, but I just heard that, and I think it'd be really nice for our audience to kind of just understand that part of it.
Yeah, so um, the nonprofits are regulated pretty heavily by the federal government just because you're a nonprofit, which means that ultimately what you don't do is pay taxes. You still have to really be very transparent in your financial management. And so, several things. One, all nonprofits should have a database that records who your donors are, how much you've contacted them, what gifts have they made. And then you also have to have your financial systems aligned. So if I make a gift to an organization and I designate that gift, let's say it is for Advent Health Waterman Foundation, and I want to do it, I want to make my gift so that it specifically goes to pet therapy, which we also have on campus. Then the foundation receives that money, goes into the database system and says Mabel gave $100 for pet therapy. And so that is put in the record that you have in there. And then our accounting system has different buckets of money wherein we record how much money has been raised for pet therapy. So all of that information has to be maintained by a foundation. And that's why you need to have that data because annually, nonprofits, unless you are a private uh, school or church, must be audited and must submit a 990 to the IRS, which is basically your tax returns. And all that information also needs to be on your website so that people can be able to look at it whenever they feel they want to. So that then they can see how you are using your funding and making sure that you're not a fly-by-night organization that is, cheating folks out of these gifts that they're making. Nonprofits are really have some pretty strict rules established around them, and it's something that nonprofit leaders and career professionals really take to heart and hold it in very high regard.
That was amazing. Okay, I'm over to you, Sky. Sorry,
No,
it's good.
no, that was wonderful information. Thank you so much, Mabel. And Mabel, obviously, with your extensive career in the nonprofit industry, can you speak to strategic planning and some of the key strategies that were proven to be successful in driving fundraising efforts in within the nonprofit organization that you supported at the time?
Yeah, I don't know if you know, but philanthropy is defined as the love of mankind. So when we talk about, what are successful strategies for, fund, fundraising efforts, um, I would say that one of the most important things is building strong, authentic relationships, um, because those relationships are really the ones that are going to be able to help you continue to raise dollars and more importantly lead to transformational gifts. um, and building those relationships really means listening to donors, showing them how their investment in your mission is, making things better, and asking them for their feedback. Because they are at the end of the day, they're like your shareholder. Nonprofits don't have shareholders, obviously, because we're not raising money to, make people rich.
Right.
So being sure that that feedback is something that you need to get from them. So how are they feeling? What are they seeing in their community? What is the thing that they want to see more of as a donor? What is it they don't want to see more of? How do they think that the reporting that they're receiving is meeting their needs? And ultimately, how are we helping them fulfill their philanthropic legacy? Because at the end of the day, people give out of the desire to make things better for others. But we want to ensure that those relationships are strong enough because implementing impactful programs and providing great service helps. But emphasizing numbers over people or impact over instinct really dilutes the definition and the driving force of charitable giving. And so we want to ensure that donors have the opportunity to kind of uh, think through or reflect on how their philanthropy is making them feel and what their impact is going to ultimately be. So, Sky, I would say that the key strategies for successful fundraising is really strong relationships because those are the cornerstone of philanthropy itself.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Awesome. And being that we are, a career-driven podcast, and hopefully people are listening are interested in getting into, the nonprofit or the foundation world. I just wanted to get a blast from the past a little bit. What was the first degree that you got? I know that you have your master's in public policy and you're currently working on your doctor of philosophy. And I wanted to know, bachelor's, what was your bachelor's in, just to kind of give an idea on like how you may have gotten your start in your first role in this field of nonprofit.
So, um, No one thinks that philanthropy is the field that they're going to go into because, to be frank, most people think, oh, fundraising is selling gift wrap or candy bars or things like that, right? Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
if I'm completely honest. Um, so true story, my undergrad degree is an English major. I was on a pre-law track because I was going to go to law school, and then I didn't. I decided that public policy was the space that I wanted to be in because I was really interested in how policy impacts people and what policies kind of, again, with that calling, make things better for people. And so then my other thing was that I was 22 years old and I wanted to see the world. Like I had a passport and I wanted to see the world.
Yeah.
So I graduated college and I got a job. I was already going to register for grad school, and I got a full time job working for, I don't, I'm sure some of your listeners might know, Adventist Development and Relief Agency International, so ADRA International.
Yes.
I went to work for them, and I got to see the world. And I also got into philanthropy. I went from, um, I became a grant writer, and I got to sit in villages in East Africa with women and talking about their children who are under the age of 5 and how do we get them to live beyond 5 years of age. How do I work with farmers in Southern Africa to make sure that their crops survive um, droughts? How in Latin America do we make our communities more resilient to natural disasters? And how do we get potable water to children in Ecuador? And how do we do child survival programs in Nepal? So I had an amazing opportunity to travel the world. And because I didn't want to write grants all the time, I mean it's super interesting and for some people it's great, but for me I was missing that um element of individual giving. I wanted to get into the area of major gifts and really getting people, helping people to fulfill that philanthropic legacy of them wanting to make things better for others. And so then I went to work in the major gifts space. And so I got to sit with, captains of industry, CEOs of Fortune 500 companies when I was at Boys and Girls Club of America. And it has just been a really fun and amazing journey. And now I get to bring all of that expertise here to Advent Health. And I would say if there's anyone who is interested in going into the nonprofit space, I would say figure out what your calling is. If your calling is to make things better for people, if your calling is that you want to be a servant leader, then nonprofit might be the place for you. And think about what relationships you have, volunteer in the community that you're in right now, and figure out, where are there gaps? Where are there needs? What is the thing that in my community could work better? Um, and identify what could fill that gap. We have a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to start this nonprofit because I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And then they find out that X, Y, and Z is being done by A, B, C, D, E, and F. So being able to contribute to this industry is really important because we need more people in this industry. But being thoughtful in how you engage in it is also really, really critical.
That was great, Mabel. Thank you for sharing that. And really quickly, in pursuing your doctorate of philosophy in public policy, how do you see the what you're studying now enhancing your work at Waterman Foundation in the broader field of philanthropy?
Yeah, so that's actually a really great question. And when I was looking at it to kind of respond to it, I got to really reflect on that. And, a lot of people um, think the that politics does not impact their life. And in philanthropy, we find that issues of public policy does impact everything that we do. As I mentioned earlier, from both um, legislation that regulates nonprofits to macro issues of the economy, all of those things impact philanthropy. And so for me, having continuing to pursue a degree in this space helps me to um, be able to strategically plan with my team how we are going to continue to drive fundraising in our community vis-a-vis the backdrop of what is happening on a more macro scale, both on the economic side, on the social side in our community. Oftentimes nonprofits find that they are competing with other nonprofits who are working in different areas, and they don't understand why their compelling mission is not doing as well as someone else's. Well, because right now the big thing is, for instance, an emergency. And so you're not in the emergency space and you're not going to be receiving as many dollars that year as maybe another nonprofit is that is responding to a specific need, immediate need. And the other thing is to be able to kind of synthesize and share with leadership these important factors that are happening and how that impacts the giving that is happening in your community. Because, leadership isn't in this space. They are concerned about, the quality of care that is happening at their facility. They are concerned about how the hospital is supporting other initiatives in the community. And maybe this piece is not being, not as is not on their radar. And so to be able to synthesize those things that are happening on that macro level to both board members and to hospital leadership is really, really critical. And so that's how I feel like advancing my degree in this space contributes directly to philanthropy right here at Advent Health Waterman.
Well, your team is very lucky to be able to have you leading the way and gathering that information and making that change. And Mabel, just as my last question to you, what continues to inspire you and motivate you as you work within the nonprofit sector, especially during challenging times?
So I guess even now, almost 25 plus years after I started my career, I just still want to make things better for people. And obviously, there are days when I'm less motivated than others. We all have those days.
Yep.
Yep.
But when I block out the noise and really, look at back on things that continue to motivate me, it's always the images in my mind of the woman in Haiti who is a micro entrepreneur and is trying to ensure that her children get an education. It's the farmer in El Salvador who um, started out with a tiny plot of land that he rented and now has multiple greenhouses and gets to ship his crops to the capital. And so that's how he feeds his family. It is the young woman who got a full ride to UF and became the Youth of the Year for Florida at Boys and Girls Clubs of America, and to see her inspiring story and her journey. And it is the father who credits Advent Health Waterman for being able to save his son's life when he was in the ER. Those are the images that continue to inspire me because I get to spend my career building things that makes people's lives better.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that inspiration, Mabel. Mabel, thank you for everything that you've done over the last 25 years because like you said, there's not enough people doing the work that you are doing and making the greater impact that you have. So we appreciate the stories that you've shared and the impact you've made beyond all of our understanding, I'm sure. But thank you for joining us today and sharing your stories and your heart with us. And we hope that others are also inspired to pursue that philanthropic heart and passion and be able to make a difference in their communities as well.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you for listening to the Whole Career Podcast. We hope you continue to listen and subscribe. Please leave us a rating and review. And until next time, take care.